focusing on Excel for a lot of our videos here. We're going to change it up tomorrow, but this is one last one for this week. I want to talk about sheet protection. Now, sheet protection differs from workbook protection, and we need to make that connection there. So, sheet protection stops people from making edits to a particular sheet that you're on. So, in this Excel file, you'll notice I only have one sheet. So if I use sheet protection, it will protect that one sheet. Now I'm going to add a separate sheet here just so I can show you the difference. In any case, I'm on this first sheet, and we would go to the Review tab along the ribbon. And on the Review tab, you have buttons. You have one called Protect Sheet. You also have one called Protect Workbook. In this video, I'm just talking about sheet protection. So I'm going to click Protect Sheet. Now, it says Protect Worksheet and Contents of Locked Cells. We'll talk about that in a minute. You can put a password, which means that if you sent this file out, they would need a password to unprotect it. They wouldn't need a password to see the contents. They would just need a password to unprotect the sheet to make changes. And then it says below, allow all users of this worksheet to, and right now I only have two check marks, select lock cells and select unlock cells, which means they will be allowed to click around the spreadsheet without a problem. If I wanted to allow them to just format, I could say format cells or format columns, format rows. You basically are going to put a check mark in what you want to allow people to do. I'm not going to bother putting a password in this case. I'm just going to click OK. And now my workbook, or my worksheet rather, has been protected. I can still click around. As you can see, I can still select areas. But as soon as I go to make an edit to a cell, it says not happening. The cell or chart you are trying to change is on a protected sheet. To make changes, click Unprotect Sheet in the Review tab. And then in brackets it tells me I might need a password. So it has protected everything on this sheet. However, if I go over to my other sheet, I'm still free to make any changes I want here. I can make any edits I like. It is not being protected. If I wanted this sheet to be protected, I would have to apply that sheet protection again. I'm going to go back to my first sheet, and if I do click Unprotect Sheet, it's going to unprotect it. Now, because I didn't set a password, it did not require me to enter a password. If I had set a password, when I click that button on the Review tab, it would ask me for the password, and if I didn't have it, I wouldn't be allowed to unprotect it. At this point, you'll see that I am allowed to now make changes, and it applies the changes and away we go, and that's because it's unprotected. Now let's get back to that locked cells feature. So when we did the sheet protection, it protected every single cell in this workbook. And it did it because every single cell is locked by default. So let's just say I wanted to allow people to just change these cells, basically all the cells that don't have a formula attached to them. So what I've done is I've selected those cells. And if I right click on one of them, I could go into Format Cells. And in Format Cells, we have a Protection tab. If they are locked, which by default every cell is, then it gets protected when I hit that Protect Sheet button. If I were to unlock these cells and hit OK, these cells have now been unlocked, which means when I protect the sheet, they won't get protected, and they'll still be allowed to have a change applied to them. Whereas all the other ones are still by default locked, so I won't be able to make changes. Now, in this case, if I was emailing it out to someone, I might consider changing the fill color of the cells just to draw some attention to the fact that those are the ones the person could change. But let's test this out now. So if I'm going to go to the Review tab and hit Protect Sheet, I'm not going to bother setting a password again. Sure, I'll allow them to select lock cells and unlock cells. If I try to make a change to one of those cells I didn't unlock, I get the same message, not happening. However, if I make a change to one of the cells I unlocked, you'll notice the change gets made and away you go. So it's a great way to actually lock down a sheet for data entry for those people that maybe don't know how to use Excel that well, and I'm worried they're going to be able to change my formulas and make a bit of a mess. I can use the sheet protection to protect the sheet from changes, but then I can also unlock cells I want to allow them to have access to. So it's a great feature. You're going to find it on the Review tab. Give it a shot. Also remember that it only protects the one sheet you are on. So if you want to protect multiple sheets, you're going to have to go to those sheets or select them ahead of time.